Welcome to Cosmic Channels. I'm your host, Braden. This is your call-in show, the People's Call-in Show. I just host it. Lines are open 1-833-703-0424. You got a spooky tale? You've seen a ghost? You've seen Bigfoot? You've experienced strange lights in the sky? You've battled with sleep paralysis demons? I want your calls. 1-833-703-0424. I may look a little weird today. Those of you who follow our other show, Alien Theorists Theorizing, know that when it rains, it pours. And both me and Zell had absolutely crippling computer issues. Caused me to reformat. I actually wasn't even sure if I would be able to get this to work for today. All my settings are all mixed up, so I'm hoping everyone can hear, and I'm hoping calls still work, and you can hear everything, because listen, with audio drivers and stuff, anyone who works with audio knows the worst thing you can do is update anything, and I had to update everything, reformat, re-download everything. The whole operation's cattywampus right now. We're back to square one. So I was up, I pulled some late nights, getting everything up and running so I could do this today. But we got to make sure everything's working here. So we need a call. 1-833-703-0424. I need that all-important first call to make sure things are working. Yes, so we got the CIA, FBI, ATF. They're all after us. RCM, police, APT, that's Alberta Police Department. I don't know if they have one. OPP, you know me, all of them. They're all after us. So glad this is working. Listen, we got a caller on the line already. This is a great start to season 9 of Cosmic Channels. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey man, Derek. I'm calling from LA.
Hey man, big question. You're not only the first caller of the night, which is unbelievably important, but you're also the first caller after a hard reformat and re-download of everything on my computer. So I have a couple questions for you. Can you hear Can you hear an echo, or can you just hear me talking to you?
I mean, it's a little echoey, but it's all right.
Like you can hear your own voice?
No, I can't hear my own voice. You just sound like a little echoey.
Do I?
Good. I understand.
All right. Well, I was anticipating you maybe being able to hear yourself, but you've thrown me for a loop. But you say it's okay? It's doable right now?
Yeah, I can't hear myself at all. I'm totally good.
Okay, but I sound a little echoey.
A little echoey, yeah.
All right. Not much I can do about that now, because I was not excited. I'm actually blown away that that's even a possibility. That's a problem that I didn't even account for. I was like, I never thought in a million years with how I set this up that I would be the issue, and I should know that I'm always the issue. Anyways, we're just going to restart this call here from the top here, and so I can get you for the show. Welcome to Cosmic Channels. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Derek from LA.
What's going on, Derek? Is this your first time calling?
This is my first time calling, yeah. Long time prolapser, first time caller.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. What do you got for us tonight?
Ghost story. So that happened to me personally.
All right, let's hear it.
So I worked for this master electrician years ago, and basically my lease came up on the place I was staying. And I told him that I was like looking for places. I couldn't really find a place. And he was like, okay, well, I just bought this big old house, and I'm like gutting it and, just bringing it up to date. And you can rent like a room for really cheap. But, it's haunted. And I was like, yeah, okay, bro. Like, I didn't believe in ghosts at all. He
actually gave you that little preamble of like, this is a haunted.
Honestly, I thought he was joking. Like, he said it in like almost like a throwaway. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, it's haunted. Like, he didn't care. And I was like, yeah, okay, dude. Like, sure.
Nice.
Did not believe in ghosts at all at the time. And honestly, so I move in, first like couple months, nothing really happened. Totally forgot he even said this. I'd hear like random bumps and stuff, but the house was built in like the 70s or something. Like it was an older house, like in the middle of like a bunch of tract homes. It was like definitely the oldest looking house. So I just chalked it up to like, house settling or whatever. Anyway, he was always there, like working on it, like after work and whatnot. But one weekend he went out of town, and it was like Friday night, heard like the same bumps and everything, didn't really think too much of it. Then Saturday came around, and I started hearing like, sounded like people running upstairs, like back and forth on the hallway. And I like heard it through like my headphones. I took my headphones off and I started hearing like people talking, like it sounded like an old person. Like, how they kind of have that cadence, like, oh, yeah.
yeah. The stereotypical
like
old
in the
person.
living room, right?
Yeah.
So, and I didn't think like ghosts at first, right? I didn't even remember that he said that shit before. So I'm like home intruder. I grab a shotgun and I go like start clearing the house. Like I go upstairs or I hear the running, and then I start hearing running downstairs. Ooh. And I started getting kind of freaked out, honestly, because there's only one staircase, right? So it's like I didn't pass these people on the stairs if there's somebody in the house. And so I went downstairs and I cleared the whole downstairs, went back upstairs, cleared the whole upstairs because I didn't clear it the first time. I started hearing them downstairs. But then I was like, okay, that's super weird, and I just gave up. And as I'm walking back to my room, so my room had like the connection to the garage, but it was like a laundry room and then the garage, like in the hallway off on the way to my room.
Okay.
Walked past that door just slams open, like so hard slams open, and I'm like freak out. I still have the gun pointed at the laundry room, and I go into the laundry room to like check it, look behind the door to the garage slams open super hard, and then I like fucking super tense, slowly creep into the garage, and I'm like pointing the gun around. I turn the light on, and like a bunch of shit like ejects off the walls, like the shovels and like weed whacker, like people hanging with like nails on the wall.
Yeah. And they're
just eject off the wall, like feet, like 4 or 5 feet, just eject off the walls. I almost shot it, and then I just left. I just left the fucking house. I went and stayed with my friend that night, and then I told him about it, the dude that I was renting from, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it is haunted. I wasn't kidding around. And, like there's like a kid died here, like an old lady died here, like some other people died here."
Oh my god.
Yeah,
so and like no chance of earthquakes. Just because I know in LA, I'm just gonna ask the
No, it wasn't an earthquake for sure.
Like these things are ejecting straight out at you.
Yeah, like I mean it was on the other side of the room, but like when I went back like later and saw that like they were like clearing like I don't know. I mean not in the middle of the room, but they were off the wall for sure.
Oh, that is terrifying. And
yeah,
so was this like a regular occurrence? Like shit was like this was happening whenever you when you stayed there?
So like I'd hear bumps and stuff, and like I was super skeptical, so I just attributed it to the house, like, and then I mean I was looking for a place anyway, so I found a place like 2 weeks after that. I like really ramped up my search because that shit scared me.
Oh my god, yeah, of course. And like, did you ask your boss like how do you stay there? Like, does he have a truce with this thing or what's?
Yeah, he literally told me he doesn't really mind them. He's kind of made peace with them, and they're cool with him. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you must have been putting out some bad energy or something." Like,
well, maybe this thing's a little territorial. So it's like who's this guy, right? Like, what's this about? Yeah. Why is this guy here so much? And it's a little upsetting. So they're just, they're testing boundaries, whatever this thing is, right, with you.
Yeah.
To see how you are, and I mean, you were doing reasonable. It's reasonable to hear bumps in the nights, and you're like, hey, well, I better have my gun. And it's like,
yeah,
listen, spirits. That's not going to affect you. Chill out. You don't have to launch weed whackers off the wall. Like those are some heavy items. And like, how far are they getting tossed?
Probably like 5 feet off the wall.
Wow.
I mean, they were hung up. like probably 3 feet above where like the bottom of them were, but still they were like 5 feet out.
Weird. And so since then, are you a believer now after living at that place?
I definitely believe in ghosts. I mean, that's the only experience I've had with anything like paranormal, and I only say it's paranormal because I can't explain any of that shit. You know.
I know it. Well, that's so.
Like I can explain away bumps and creaks and house swelling and whatnot, but like not weed whackers jumping 5 feet off the fucking wall, like
sitting and just having a mass ejection of everything off the walls a little bit. You can't say that's the house shrinking.
Well,
it's just a little settling
in there too, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I walked past that door and it slammed that door open, and then I walked into that little laundry room and it slammed the garage door open.
Oh,
like
man.
it wanted me to go there, right?
Like, yeah, it was like leading you where it wanted you to be.
It wanted to do something with the weed whacker, I guess.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. How would I'm asking questions here. What was the state of the lawn?
I mean, he kept it up really well.
Kept it pretty tight?
Yeah, I mean, he was doing everything. He got it like a good deal, and it's probably because it was haunted.
Well, and it just because
he was constantly working on it.
In my head, when you said like you kind of heard that like old curmudgeon kind of voice, like the old like stereotypical like old man voice, then you're getting the weed whacker chucked at you. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, maybe is the property not being kept to the liking of the previous owner, you know what I mean? Right? And he's like, yeah, fix it right now. Opens the garage door and he's chucking the weed whacker, right? Because he's like, hey, edge this bad boy. This is not unacceptable for my property, right? And I was kind of thinking maybe something like that. But if your buddy keeps it pretty tight, then that's not a complaint. Then it just seems like it was luring you there to, it feels like to do you some harm or at least hit you with something. Like it seemed upset.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I can't speak on the state of the lawn at the time. I don't remember. This was like 5 years ago. Yeah. But I mean, maybe that weekend it was not good.
It's getting a little long.
I'm not sure. I didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I'm just trying to put a connection together because the old man and then like throwing the yard tools at you. It's like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like if it really wanted to hurt you and do some damage, like they could have done that with plates, glass, right, and stuff that could have done. But I was like, it's weird, like the lawn stuff coming off the wall. I was like, was it trying to like give you like do the lawn? Was it giving you hints or something? Because your boss seems to have like a good relationship with this thing. So it's like maybe that it is trying to communicate, right? But I mean, listen, I would have been freaked out too. I'd have been like, I'm out of here. That's it. Right. But you did have a shotgun. So maybe it was just like upset that you grabbed a gun. Right. It's hard to say.
That's what he thought when I talked to him about it. And I told him like, dude, I cleared your whole house with a shotgun. And he's like, yeah, that's they probably pissed him off. Like,
yeah, he's like, I'll apologize to them on your behalf. You squash the beef. So 2 weeks you lasted in there.
I was there for almost 4 months, I want to say. But this was, I was already like, kind of like looking at places heavily. Yeah. So I found a place. I mean, I like kind of settled because I was like, I want to get out of here. Yeah.
I mean, that's terrifying. So like, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on when stuff like that happens? When you theorize in your head, what do you think it is?
I mean, it some kind of spirit. I mean, he said multiple people died in there, just attached to that house, I guess, and they like it a particular way. They maybe don't like people in their space, and especially me. I mean, I did have an aggressive response. Yeah. Like I had one in the chamber clearing the house, so.
You were ready to go. So yeah, it's interesting that maybe these, some spirits and stuff do linger at these places that they cared about and look over or watch over it, or it's an interesting thought. Like why why are they stuck to the house? Like, why, what's the attachment to that house? You got to think if there's some sort of afterlife we all go to. I don't think I'll be hanging around my house if I have the ability to travel. You know what I mean? If I'm a spirit. So it's kind of weird that you see these places. I wonder if there was something done to the house or into the house that's like holding them all there. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, it's interesting that you have this house and all these spirits seemingly stuck to it.
Yeah, I don't even think when I like asked him about it. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of information about the people that died. He just knew that people had died there.
Yeah.
He knew the old lady, I guess, like lived there by herself, and she like fell and couldn't get up and like just died on the floor because nobody came to check on her.
Ugh.
So maybe that one makes sense.
Yeah, that one's like she's upset.
Upset, but like I think that, like he said, there was like a kid that died there.
Well, I could see a kid, like a kid's lost, doesn't know where to go. I could see that.
Maybe, yeah. But like I don't think any of them were like violent or anything.
Yeah.
So
like you didn't get the
old lady one. I could see her sticking around. Like, why did nobody help me?
Yeah, or and depending on the. I mean, let's just so let's go with that analysis, and it is maybe an older woman's spirit. Maybe the child died first, so now she's watching over this like child spirit that's there because she like doesn't want to leave it alone, right? I don't know, I'm just trying to figure it out in my head, but like because I'm like still like you think if you could leave, maybe you would go and check it out or go see where your family went or follow your family. It's just weird to be so attached to the house or in that area.
Yeah.
But
yeah, especially if it's not violent or anything.
Yeah, it's just that's always kind of been a fascination for me, where some of these places seemingly, whether or not trapped, because you hear different places where it's like they'll have tons of ghosts, different ghosts, and you're like, well, why this area? It's like they didn't live in the same time. Maybe they died there, but what's keeping them all? What's keeping them all kind of tethered to this realm? And someone else's house doesn't have anything that has someone die in it. So it's kind of interesting to thought. Derek, thank you so much for calling in. Hey, it was easy call. It was smooth, right? It wasn't bad. Anyone out there with anxiety, got any tips for them? Calling in?
What's that?
I said, you got any tips for people who are too anxious to call? They say they get too nervous to call. This was your first call, so.
Oh man, I mean, I wanted to call for like a year. I was nervous too, but now it's super smooth. You're easy to talk to. And
thanks, buddy.
Just do it.
Hey, how'd you find the show?
I actually, I'm a big 40K fan.
Nice.
It's called the 40K podcast.
Yeah.
And you guys like years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago at least. Probably close to 4 now. Did like a
Lorehammer
swap with Lorehammer.
Yeah. No, those are our boys. Those guys got fucked over by Spotify just like we did. We were in the same group of people who got.
Is that why they only made it to 100 episodes?
Probably. I mean, Spotify. There was 10 of our shows that all got picked up at that time. Lorehammer was one of them, and there was a couple others, and they seriously affected all of the shows. Like they killed the momentum of all the shows that were in that program. So it's I'm glad you found it that way. It's always cool that when you hear about these, we put out cross promotions all the time, so you never know if they work. So it's always nice when you hear one, especially from guys you liked working with, that they got it from there. So thank you so much, Derek, for calling in. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, have yourself a good night, man.
Later, bud.
Bye. Oh, awesome first call. Let's start off season 9. Listen, I saw you, Alan. Alan's donating to the show. I just realized what is not working. My waveform visualizer that's normally right here is not working. And above it, I had made a QR code. Both not working. It says OBS is in safe mode still, so I have some, I'm not going to mess around with it too much tonight because I don't want to end the stream after first call, but lines are open 1-833-703-0424. Listen, you've been dying to call. You got a ghost story. You've seen some shit. Call in 1-833-703-0424. While we're waiting for the next call, I'll go to the chat. We got a bunch of the regulars. Chango, what's going on? Silver Lotus, Bakey. We got Alan. Alan, thank you for the donation. All donations. Listen, we've paid the bills. 2025. We're gonna keep this show rolling. We hit that through the summer, so I'm gonna put that in a little piggy bank so that we, can pay all the bills needed to maintain the show for 2025. Includes Call Hippo, some social media stuff, some other hosting stuff and subscription stuff to make it easier for posting and whatnot. And now we're saving up for ads. Let's grow the show. So Alan, thank you so much. Legend. The Boner Man's in the house. What's going on? Aliens or demons? Yeah, I mean, I hear that theory all the time. But if you think about the biblical depiction of angels, like, they're terrifying. Like it's not like, Castiel from Supernatural coming down all chiseled, fucking mewing all the time. Like, these are just giant eyeballs and like hundreds of eyes and wings, and you can't even really grasp what they are. Terrifying. Could aliens be these things? But the thing is, when we associate demons with aliens, I always think demon gets like such a negative bad rap, and because I don't think it fits alien, because some people describe having lovely experiences, with the Nordics and those kind of aliens and stuff. So that's where that kind of gets tough for me. Kaylin Edwards, yo, what's going on, man? Thank you for tuning into the show. Andrew Hutchinson, there is laws of physics. Maybe there are laws to paranormal activities. Death via certain times or ways may bond or release. That's interesting. There's laws to our physical world. Could there be laws to the spiritual world that we just, we're not in, so we have no idea how these things work? That's kind of that's an interesting, kind of thought to have. Cool. The death so horrific, or the life, it stains itself to the place. Yeah, but there's some you hear about, like, this story we just heard, where it doesn't seem like anyone like really had it wasn't too horrific, but yet they kind of still hang around the area, and they're not like bad or evil or giving up like malicious intent vibes to these people. So it's kind of strange to me. Chango, thank you so much for donating. I just see that now. Beauty. We're getting to those ads. Or it could be angels, not demons. Yeah, it's hard to say. But listen, I need some more calls. 1-833-703-0424. I really wish I could get this. I like having the visualizer. It's a nice distraction for me. I would like to watch it, but that's okay. I can see there's a little red error message beside it and my QR code, and then there's a little thing that says on OBS safe mode. So I have a feeling it's just not working because of the reboot, and I probably just need to restart the computer and it'll work fine. Not that big of an issue though. It's all good. We'll get that sorted for next week. And hey, thank you everyone who stuck with us through the summer sessions. We're going to be going every week now, from now until after Halloween. We're in spooky season, baby, so we need some of those spooky stories. I have crushed through just about every single one of the written in stories. So if you have a story that you're like, you know what, I got a story that I want read on the air, I can't call, send it to me, CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com, and listen, I will read it live on the air. We're going to have some cool callers this season. I got some callers lined up and some people I know who have, their personal stories. I'm going to have calling and played on the show. Oh, no, this is not a story. Someone called just now and then hung up. Call back. 1-833-703-0424. yeah, so there's Mr. Conspiracy at the my brother there in the chat, and he's saying, tell the story of the phantom footsteps we used to hear in our parents' house. I've told the story numerous times of different various stories, but I think the one story that sticks out in my mind, I mean, there was tons of times growing up where, you know, we were sitting in the downstairs living room. My parents had 2 living rooms, like one family room downstairs with the TV, family room upstairs with the TV. And hey, conspiracy, why don't you call 1-833-703-0424? We can recount the story together. But it was really creepy. Like, you would hear our parents would be gone, and we were, you know, young teenagers. I think I was 14. My brother was probably 10. And we would hear, you know, our parents wouldn't be home, but you would hear all of a sudden we had hardwood floors upstairs, and you'd hear the thump, thump, thump. And you're like, oh, someone's home. And you'd hear some thump, thump, thump. And you'd go, oh, it's kind of weird. And then you'd be like, Mom, Dad, to nothing. And you kind of like walk up the stairs and kind of like peek around. There's no one there. And you're like, oh, that was weird. And then those are a lot of times experiences you would have by yourself, though, and you'd be sitting at late at night, and we had one of those staircases that comes down and then like turns around and comes back down. So sometimes you'd be sitting there and you would hear like do 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 do, like someone walking down the first set of stairs. So you're expecting to see someone on the landing coming around to the next set of stairs. So you would turn and look, and you would wait, and then there'd be no one. So you'd just be like really just, you would, you know, all your hairs would stand up, and you just kind of like get freaked out. There were a couple times where we would, and we would say that too. And this is the funniest thing. My parents to this day have been like, there's nothing. There's nothing in that house, nothing. And now they have an Airbnb. You know, I should start the haunted Airbnb. They have an Airbnb now, and then they're out of town, and the Airbnb guests have messaged them and been like, is there someone upstairs? Right? And I'm like, see, that it's not just us. Like, it's something I don't. And the craziest thing is, it's not an old house. My dad built that house, so it's like there. You know, it's so strange. There's times where we've had shared experiences where there's 2 of us there, and one of the times I remember we were upstairs. I was sitting on the couch, and it was back facing to the kitchen, and as I'm watching TV, my brother was doing the dishes, and it sounded like to me that he all of a sudden turned and started like running towards me, like it was like do do do. And so I turned like surprised of like, what are you doing? To him looking just as shocked, looking at me going, what are you doing? And I said, was that not you that just ran? And he goes, no, I thought that was you that just ran. And I went, no. And we both were just super freaked out. It just gave me the heebie-jeebies at the time. And that kind of stuff happened all the time, like all the time growing up. It was weird to grow up in a house like that. Like, you would just hear these things, and it would just creep you out. And you just like, you would learn to just be like, but you never like were totally cool with it. You would just be like, ooh, this is, you know, ooh, I don't like this. But what are you gonna do? It's not, you're a kid. You can't. It's not like, well, I packed them up, I'm moving out. So it was super strange. I mean, people can say, oh, hardwood floors, you know, groaning and moaning or whatever, but it's like, you know, I've heard cracks and stuff, but this was like forceful weighted steps. I've been there since, where my spouse has sworn that she's felt someone step on the bed. And it's super, super creepy. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I grew up with a haunted house and having these experiences. So if you've heard these things and stuff and you're like, you know, I don't know, you know, listen, I'm a believer. I've lived through it. I've seen it. I've experienced it. So, and there's conspiracy right in the chat there saying 100% true story. It is. It was terrifying. Conspiracy, why don't you call in and tell them about our weird UFO encounter that one time? Because I've told that story before, but I've never heard you recount the story. So that would be cool if you want to call in 1-833-703-0424. But someone don't let conspiracy call in. Someone else call in. Let's go, people. I want another story. We're getting into spooky season. I've got probably 2 or 3 episodes worth of calls in the bank to start off season 9. So it's going to be kind of, we've got plenty, but I need some calls. Although there is a Dyson Sphere thing. What's the thing? A Dyson Sphere looks like a machine. It's in the Bible, I believe. Ezekiel saw a wheel within a wheel, like a Dyson Sphere, like around the sun, what aliens use. I mean, listen. No one on Earth has been doing miracles and doing these magic that Jesus said to do. So, maybe all that's aliens. Listen, ancient civilization depict aliens and flying crafts. They tried to make the normal out of normal, and would try to write these stories within like reasoning that they could understand, right? So it's like, maybe he was an extraterrestrial. David Blaine literally does exist. He does. And listen, that guy is, I don't know how he does what he does. It's wild. He's the real deal. Not like that. Remember that Chris Angel fad? He kind of fell off though. I was never a big Chris Angel fan. I'm a big David Blaine guy. But as far as street magic goes, like, didn't he make a building disappear or something? I've never seen that. I remember the only real stunt that I remember watching of David Blaine was where he held his breath. We went for the record, and he failed it the first time when it was had all the publicity. He had a seizure in the water. It was hard to watch. And then I remember a couple months later, they're like, he did it, and I was like, oh, I never even saw. And he had lived in water for a week. He had the pruniest hands so bad that they were getting cut. They were just opening up. Yeah, I was listen, all for magic. He's ta-da, as he's having a seizure. I don't know how he does a lot of the tricks he does, but I imagine if people have been to Vegas, does he have to do a stage show? Because I remember people saying they've been to the Chris Angel show, and a lot of people that I've heard went to the Chris Angel show when he was setting it up, so they saw kind of behind the curtains of all the magic, and they're like, it just kind of kills it a little bit. But I don't know if David Blaine does anything like that. Does he have a magic act in? I don't know. It's weird. I saw Penn and Teller once, and they were writing down people's passwords, and then they wrote down a password, and they're like, this is someone's password in here, and they had written my password for just about every single account I have on a whiteboard, and I was rattled. I was like, they're like, is this someone's password? It's someone's password in here. And I was like, oh fuck, that is 100%. Obviously I'm not gonna fess up, but they had written my password on there, and I was like, this is wild. Yeah, Mind Freak. Yeah, Penn and Teller was cool. Oh yeah, the hunting story. I've told this. I'll tell it again. I've told it on the main show. The closest thing I've ever had to a UFO experience. There was a telemark in Glen Rosa, West Kelowna. There's a telemark ski area that in the winter, it's a public cross-country ski track where you can go and cross-country ski. But it's a really nice area for hunting in the fall before the snow starts to fly, because there's all these really nice cut-in trails that kind of weave through a really kind of nice forested area outside of town. So it's actually kind of close to town, 10 minutes out of town. You can get out there and hunt. A lot of people thought you weren't allowed to go on it because it was the telemark ski area, so it wasn't really hunted. So me and I think there was a couple of us used to go up there, and time to time and get an evening hunt in, and we'd sit and glass a field and just look over it and waiting for deer to come across. There was deer and bears up there. And one night me and Mr. Conspiracy went up to Glen Rosa to the telemark ski area. We're gonna hunt. We're gonna do it was an after work hunt, so we got up there right after work. I think we were up there 4:30, and we usually have a beer. We would park the truck probably a kilometer away because we didn't want to spook anything, and then we'd walk the telemark in, and then cut down into basically this little side field where we could see a field where we knew deer and stuff crossed. So we were sitting there, and it's just kind of like a cloudy, overcast day, like nothing crazy, not raining, but it's fall, a little chilly, so we're dressed for it. We're sitting there, and it's don't really get any action, don't shoot anything. It's starting to get dark, so we're like, okay, let's walk back. It's about a kilometer, maybe a kilometer and a half. It's as we're walking, it's getting dark, and this is what I remember, because we would always stay out, and if anyone's hunted or something, we would always stay out till I remember when you blink, because I always do this because for some reason I'm a child, but when it's that dark and getting darker, like that last light, sometimes you can almost do a long blink and open your eyes, and it's noticeably a little darker than when you close your eyes. So it always kind of trips me out. So we were doing that. We were walking back, and I remember doing that, and I could see, remember it was dark. It's darker. And then as we're walking, we're probably 500 meters from the hunting spot, kind of like a low-hanging clouds kind of hit the mountainside, and come and just kind of hit us. And then right as the clouds and kind of this little, it's like fog, but I know it was just kind of like a cloud hitting the hill, and it kind of encases us for a second. And the second we're totally covered, the loudest, the only thing I could explain it sounded like if you ran 2 saw blades at max RPMs and you just pressed them together, and it was like, whee! And this metallic grinding noise, so loud, and it felt like it cracked right over our heads, honestly. So it was so loud and so startling that both of us just dropped instantly into we had our guns, but instantly into a dropped on the ground, crouched, that's how loud it felt above our heads. And I remember looking around, and then as we were oh my God, what is that? There was a wind, and both trees on either side were just going wild, in the bushes were just blowing so hard. Just it almost like we were in the eye of the storm. That's what it felt like. And you would hear branches were getting blown off, and you could hear cracking and stuff all in the woods. And we were just frozen, just sat there. We're looking around. I had my gun out, and then it was just boom, the kind of clouds open back up, and the noise stops, and it's still overcast, but the fog just kind of drifts, keeps drifting up the hill. And we just looked at each other and just both ran for my truck. And we didn't stop running. We ran the whole kilometer, jumped in my truck, and we're like, what the hell was that? We're like, oh my God, it was terrifying. And that's probably the closest thing I've ever had to, a UFO. We didn't see anything. There's no lights. But I mean, what makes that noise right above our heads? That's the craziest thing. And I would be they didn't have active logging up there. There is logging in the area, over the next mountainside. But listen, I've been around all those. I used to be a pine coner for a little while when I was young. I've been around all the forestry equipment, and it's I've heard it run pretty close by. And this would be if you ran something directly over your head. It was so loud, and it terrified us. And it's a vivid memory I have of just being what was that? And this was long before the podcast. We started doing that. It was just a very strange encounter that I had. And it's weird because sometimes I think would we have been in trouble, some kind of trouble, if we didn't have firearms, if we didn't have guns with us? I didn't have the wherewithal to check, was my phone working? I didn't think anything of that. It was, I should make a video. It was it was terrifying. But yeah, that's the closest thing I've ever had to a UFO experience, where I figure something was above us. It wasn't a helicopter. I've heard helicopters. Terrifying. And we jumped. I had a old blue Ford F-150, had a broken clutch, and we bounced her out of there after that. But yeah, that's all. That's probably my most vivid experience. Like, I mean, I've had hauntings and stuff, but that's as for a UFO one, that it's still like I still think about it sometimes, especially when I'm going hunting. You always kind of wish it happens again, so you could kind of like, because I wish I knew more. I wish I would have, like, I don't even really remember looking up. Like, maybe there was something above us. I was looking like to my sides because the everything was blowing so hard. But I don't remember seeing a light. I don't remember a light on us. We didn't lose any time. I remember, like, not, if we did lose time, it wasn't noticeable. But I don't remember blacking out or nothing. I kind of have a pretty steady memory of what had happened. So, but lines are open. That's it for my story. So 1-833-703-0424. I need some callers, people. Let's go. If you're sitting there, you're listening, you're like, hey, you know what? I want to call. I got something. I got a story that I want to tell one day. Maybe tonight's not the night. Tonight is the night. Fuck you. Call us. All right? Don't be a call in next. Don't be a call us next Tuesday. Call right now, and tell us your encounter. If you have you seen something spooky in the woods? That's what, honestly, that I want more people to call. If you are listening to this, and this is a call to everyone who's outdoorsman. If you've been in the woods and you had an weird experience in the woods, I want to hear it. Call in and share with me, your hunting stories. Did you hear some weird noises that you weren't sure what it was, or you something scared you in the woods? Or you listen. Even if you have a story of where something just didn't feel right and your hair stood up on end, I want to know. 1-833-703-0424. We need some calls. Come on, people! It's spooky season. We're doing Cosmic Channel season 9 now, so let's get after it. I want to hear some spooky stories. I'm trying to think of one where it was just like, just had bad juju, if you've ever been to a place. And the one I can think of is I went to Tassis, British Columbia, and it used to be a little bit of it's a small, really small town. Like, I think couple hundred people live there now. But at one point there was like a couple thousand, a big forestry town. And then, as the forestry boom kind of went bust, a lot of these industry pulled out of Tassis, and it's almost like a ghost town now. So when you go there, there's like old, some old dilapidated buildings, but there is like an old mill site that was basically just left abandoned. So one of the times we went there, we went hiking to there's like an old mill building on the water, and you go in there and it's so weird and creepy because it's basically like 30 years old, 40 years old, and it's just been left to the weather. So like all the people have broken windows and the winds. Listen, Brooke Bram, that's exactly what I want to hear. Hunting guide in East Kootenays and a very bad night by myself in a remote cabin. Yeah, let's hear it. Call in, please. 1-833-703-0424. I'd love to hear it. But this mill site, there was filing cabinets, and you'd open the filing cabinets, and like there's still like everyone's personnel files and stuff in there, and the building was just so dilapidated and stuff, and it just had such a eerie feeling. And then because they built it over the water, there was holes in the floor, so there was no lights on, but there was, every now and then you'd shine your flashlight and there would be a hole directly in to the ocean, and you just look down and you can see the ocean. And like if you didn't have a flashlight with you and you step, you just drop, right? And no real way to get back up. It's not like there's a ladder. So, and if you're there in the winter, the water's cold and you got to swim, like, Could be a rough one for you. No, Mr. Conspiracy is saying Mr. Conspiracy has a demon photo, a demon caught on camera. He has a photo of him, all of him and his friends, and I think they were at Big White. You should send it to me again, and if you can send it to me on Facebook, if you have it. I can post it, but in the background of this photo, there's like a person with like a demon face that's not one of their friends, and he's just like photobombing the photo like in the back behind everyone. It's terrifying. But Brooke Bryan, call in. I want to hear this. Bad night by yourself in a remote cabin. Might be a good story. Sounds like a phenomenal story. Let's hear it. I want to listen. Anytime you're alone in the deep woods, alone in a cabin, listen, it's creepy. Like, you're gonna sit there. If you watch horror movies like me, you're gonna be sitting there and going, is something coming through the doors? What's gonna happen? So I want to hear it. So please, 1-833-703-0424. And the thing I like this is East Kootenays. Hey, it's right in my neck of the woods. Come on. Don't be scared. Call in. I want to hear the story. That's what we're waiting for now. 1-833-703-0424. Don't be nervous. It's easy. I'm an easy person to talk to. I would love to hear this story. So, Brooke Bryan, it's... I'd love to pick your brain a little bit too about some hunting. So don't tease me like this. Call in. We need some more calls. We've only had one call tonight. This is a rough start to Cosmic Channel. We did better when we rebooted it the first time. So listen, we need to get some calls. Podcast version is going to come out next week. Episode 1. I'm almost done it. I'm trying to add some cool sound effects and some other things to the show to spice it up. So hopefully you like it. And again, listen, if you're hanging out and I'm getting ads for cheap viewers. Listen, I need cheap callers. Twitch bot. I don't need cheap viewers. I need cheap callers. But I want more calls. I long for the days this fall, and I know they're coming, where I'm non-stop calls from start to finish. Those are my favorite nights. My least favorite nights, 0 callers, and I have to sit here talking to myself. It's always painful. Go to the chat here. Listen, get yourself some cookies. Those of you in there. Alex O'Brien, what's going on, beauty? Hope you're still living large in Florida, wherever you ended up. Absolute beauty. Come on, 1-833-703-0424. Just like that. I had to beg a little. That's all right. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Jojo. I called last time. I'm from Stevens Point.
Hey.
I talked about those UFOs.
Hey, how's it going, Jojo?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I was watching your live stream. I saw that you only had one caller, so I was like, well, fuck it. I have another story.
Yes, good. Listen, it's okay. If you got more than one story, I have more than one story. Lots of people have more than one story. Call in. I hope this inspires other people who have called in to share another story. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so this one was in my hometown from Stevens Point, in central Wisconsin. We have the Wisconsin River that runs through us, and where I lived, I was like 2 or 3 blocks away from it. And one day it was me, my brother, and a couple of his buddies, and I think one of my friends. And we were just messing around town, riding our bikes, and just going around town, just doing stupid shit. I had to be about, I think, like 12, maybe 13. And we got back home, and it was kind of getting dark, just like twilight almost. And we're all just kind of sitting there messing around. We had the door open. We had 2 doors. We had the screen door, and we had like a big bulky door. We had the bulky door open so that the wind could come in and just kind of, air out the house. And all of a sudden, we're all just sitting there chatting and talking, and all of a sudden we just heard the door go bang, 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 and we're like, whoa, what the heck was that? So we all kind of got up. I looked out the window, and I saw someone kind of running. And I was like, hey, someone hit the door. So my brother got up and his buddies got up, bust out the door, looked down the road and they're like, come here quick, like, come on, keep running. And we were like, okay, like, we just kept going. And as whatever creature was running down, we went down like maybe half a block, and as we turned, we just saw this like 6'7", like in that area, all black skin, and like with long dreaded hair. And he like ran like an Olympic athlete like no other. He went through like, I'd say about 100 meters in like 5 seconds. Like he just ran, and he jumped inside the river, and then all you could just see him was jump in and just plop and gone. Like that was instant, completely gone. It was really weird.
I mean, like, was this person naked?
Yeah, like we saw butt cheeks. Like we didn't see the front part because we were running behind it.
Yeah.
But like it was fully naked. And he just ran to the river and jumped in there.
Was it like slender build, like, muscular build?
More like a slender build, like he was like I said, like 6'5", maybe 7 something, but like he looked really skinny and athletic. Like that's what he does.
Yeah.
Like just run all day.
Weird.
And yeah, it was a really weird experience. And then I guess after all that, I think it was like 2 weeks after, I was talking to my brother about it again. He's like, yeah, I saw that thing before. I was like, wait, what, you saw before? He's like, yeah, before we ran after it. He's like, it was me and my buddy. We were walking down from, like a couple blocks away, and it perched up on this like longhouse, like the old style Indian style longhouse.
Yeah.
And he said it was just perching there, like staring at both of them, and they both went like, what the fuck is that? Like, we don't really know. And what he said that he saw on the face was that it was like glowing eyes, either white or yellow, in between that, like it would mix, and its mouth was sewn.
Oh, that's weird.
He's like, they just ran to my house at the time, and then they just went to sleep. And just recently, I talked to that old friend of my brother's, and he brought it up without me even asking anything. We were at a fire, and he brought it up, and he's like, hey, dude, do you remember that fucking weird creature we saw? I was like, yeah. I'm like, the one that jumped into the river? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. Like, I wasn't crazy. Like, we definitely saw that. Like, all of us saw that night. And that was a really weird experience.
What state are you in?
Wisconsin. So, like, Bergmeister's in Madison, right? Or, like, somewhere around that area?
Yeah.
So, I'm, like, I'd say I'm, like, 2 hours north of him in the center part of Wisconsin.
And what state borders you in Wisconsin?
We have Michigan on our right, and then we have Minnesota on our left. And then below us, I think, is Illinois. Okay.
I'm just trying to think. Where is, how far away is Massachusetts? Quite far, eh?
Pretty. You're looking at, if you drive
that's
there,
East
it's going to
Coast,
take about
right?
10 hours.
Okay. The only thing is, like, because some of the things you're saying remind me, there's like an urban legend out of Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure it's Massachusetts. And when you said glowing eyes, it's like, it's called like the Black Flash or the Black Sprint.
Yeah, I remember that episode. You guys talked about that.
Yeah,
one.
and it's this figure with like glowing eyes, black flesh or black clothes that's like unbelievably fast and like terrorizes people.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like ridiculously tall and slender, just really fast, and like no one can ever get a really good look at it because it just disappears.
It was just quick. Like, it was really quick.
Yeah.
It just, like, we barely went half a block. So, like, 40 feet, 50 feet. And it was already, like, at least at that time, probably about 40 to 50 meters away. Like, really far away. And we're like, how the hell did it get there? And we kept running. And then by the time we even got to where we first saw it, it was already in the water and just gone.
And gone. Like, the second it touched the water, it never came up. It's not like you saw it swimming.
It just dived in and gone. We stood there for like a couple minutes, like, okay, it has to pop up. Like, if it's a human,
was the river
like someone messing with us?
Was the river flowing pretty good?
Well, there's a dam that's next to it, so I don't know if they had it open at the time. But I mean, the river looked like it was moving kind of fast.
Okay, so
because it's weird with ours. It gets really deep in the center, but it's really shallow, like around the edges.
And
a lot better.
What time of year is this?
Oh, this had to be summertime, I think.
Somewhere? Okay, so like, I'm
Probably
just
like around July, maybe a little after July, maybe August.
I mean, that's so creepy because I'm like in my head, I'm like, I guess like it's one of those ones where I'm like, I don't know what's worse. Is it like a person that just tried to do this to you and then ran and like just jumped in, or is like this thing, was it trying to lure you somewhere? This like some sort of supernatural being, right? Was it trying to lure you to the water? Like it's just so weird that like, because the bang
it
bang
enticed us a lot. When it banged that door, it enticed everybody to just like run and find it.
Yeah.
And like my brother and his friend had that little experience beforehand, so like I was like, maybe it was coming after you, dude. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, that's the strange thing, is that to me it's like if this thing or person wanted to break in, they could have just, the door was open, you said, so they could have just opened the screen silently and been in the house, right? Probably
easily,
and probably not been detected. But like they banged the door. It's almost like a Nicky 9 door situation, right? But then yeah, it's, man, that's so creepy because it's like,
well, because like on our neighbor next to us, there was a bunch of college kids, so like we already had a run in a couple of times of them like banging on the wrong door, like, oh hey, we're here for the party, and it's like, you know, we're all just sleeping. My mom's like, yeah, no, next door. Like, yeah, that's the other house, not this one. So like we knew that people would like come by and like mess with our house just because they might be drunk or something. But this was like right when the sun was going down, and like there was no parties. It was already, the college kids left. It was the summertime, so like it didn't seem right that someone would just come up and, you know, mess with us. Yeah. So then we, like I said, we saw that creature and it was just weird.
And then like, I don't know, but I imagine, listen, Nicky 9 during someone, it's harmless. It's harmless fun. Kids do it.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. You get butt naked, like I'm pretty sure that's a felony now. You commit a felony. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're upping a fun kids game to like felony if you get caught. Like you're like, I just feel like if that's a person, like you're real spicing things up for, you know, not a lot of reward on that.
Yeah, it's a really crazy idea to do.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, they're gonna see my butt as I just full sprint down the road at unbelievable speeds. It's like, got him. You know, that's such a weird, like if that's where people want to explain that story, is like, oh, it's probably a naked guy that just chose your house to Nicky
right, and we all kind of thought that. We're just like, okay, someone's messing with us, but it was really fast. It like blink of an eye kind of thing gone.
But then like
just completely gone.
Because let's because I hate when people just be like, this is what it probably is. Because like Occam's razor was probably some naked guy banging the door. So let's go through the thought process of said giant naked man. He would wander into this neighborhood. It's nighttime.
It's like twilight, so like there's just enough sun that lights on the street just like barely came on.
Okay, so there's, you know, you can still kind of see. He's looking around and he goes, you know what? I got a hilarious prank. Not for any of my boys, just for me.
Just for me.
This is just for me. And he's like, I'm gonna get butt naked here. So he takes off all his clothes, puts them in the bushes or discards of them somewhere nearby.
Right.
Looks, makes sure the coast is clear, runs up to your house, just bangs the screen door, and then runs away. Not to his clothes, but he's like, this is going to be even better for my enjoyment of this hilarious prank. I'm going to jump into the fucking river and swim away. And then I'm going to come out of the river, and I'm going to circle back to then pick up wherever I put my clothes, butt naked, undetected, put on my clothes, and I'm going to, you know what? Those boys that saw me, they're going to have a good story to tell. There's no way. It's unbelievable.
It doesn't seem probable for someone to do that. It just seems kind of idiotic, like to the sense of a child, and it's like, why? And on top of that, like where we're at, there's like 20 to 30 houses around us. Like we're in a decent like part of our city where there's just a lot of people that live around there. So like we had a neighbor on our left, our right, behind us, you know, in the corner, in the other corner. Like there was people, but it just, nobody saw it. I guess it was just us as kids. Saw it there.
What's the town how big's the town you live in or city?
It's like 26,000.
26,000. Okay, so that's not that big. You would know if there was a 7 foot dreaded
person fucking around with people or something.
Like you would know that like that person would stand out, just the height alone.
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, that's the tall guy in town.
We're from Wisconsin. We got a lot of small people here.
Yeah. Well, it's to me. It's like I'm like anyone who was in my town that's 6'9" or over, I'd be like, that's the big guy. That's what we'd all call him. The big guy in town. You know the big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a giant man in my town that wears tights and walks around and like was on full display, and everyone knows you giant guy in tights, and you go, oh yeah, I know him. I know who you're talking about. We're about the same size. So like, listen, these outliers, these giant people are like they're not sneaking around in these, some small towns.
Like you're gonna see them somewhere.
Yeah. So it just that doesn't seem probable, of like that, and I know that's what people would say because that's where my brain goes. Oh, it's probably someone playing a prank. But then when you think about like, okay, well, like it's not like there was a group of people outside like howling, like laughing when this guy, right? Like
you would have noticed people too around. Like I said, the streetlights that we have like hit every corner of the every intersection. So like if there was someone hiding, like they had to be in the trees or like in a really like inside someone's lawn.
Yeah.
Like if they were just sitting on the corner, we would have noticed them.
Now,
but we didn't see anybody, just a person running.
The river pretty safe to swim, or is it like one of those rivers where they're like, don't swim?
You can swim in it.
Okay.
Like there's a couple spots that has like a like a swim area.
Yeah.
That you can swim. They have like the buoys that don't go past this line. A lot of people go past it. We've had a couple people, that have died, but that's a whole nother thing. But it's like the area that he jumped in. That was a spot where people used to they would fish.
Yeah. Okay.
They wouldn't go swimming around there as often. Like we'd see a couple people, but not a lot. So it was really weird to see him just like dive in and just like gone. Like not a big splash either. Like he just slipped into the water and went away.
There's it is the Black Flash. That's what it is. I'm just looking it up. That's what the name of that urban legend.
Okay.
And it's in Provincetown. That's where that comes from. But it's kind of like like it's an interesting similarity to those.
Because I remember listening to that episode just fairly recently, and I was like, it brought back memories as I was listening to it. I'm like, I've seen something somewhat similar to that. It's not.
Yeah.
Like inside of a city and there's no water and stuff, but like for like my story, it was just seriously a guy in black with long dreads and just ran.
Yeah.
And he was just gone. It was really quick.
That's so man. So well, like now that you've had this experience and stuff, like what do you think? Like you experienced it. Like what does your brain tell you?
I go to cryptid. Like it's got to be something that's not like Sasquatch, but similar to it to a degree of like some kind of hermit that has just outlasted everybody, or just some kind of human evolution that hasn't like vibed with people, like can't be in civilized society. And I don't know, it's just weird. But the weird thing is like it goes in water and it stays there for a long time.
Yeah.
I think that's what just kind of throws me off. And it's like it's weird to actually jump in that river nowadays, like because I go fishing there all the time. Like every other Sunday, I go out night fishing and just kind of sit there and have a little fire and drink some beers and just sit out and like enjoy nature. And I'm always thinking like, is it gonna pop out? Or like, am I gonna see something run?
Do you think about that every time you're out there now?
Yeah, every time.
Isn't that so? Like,
every time.
So weird. And then people discount that, and you're like, this is something that you literally now is in your brain all the time. And is it one of those things where you're like, I kind of wish I see it again so I could like make more sense of what I saw?
Like to see what it looks like, because like I was a child and memories are fragmented when you're kind of a kid and growing up. So like now that it's kind of solidified in my head that I remember a vague picture of it, I just want to see it again and like, okay, where's the details of what this creature is and like how does it adapt and survive in this area? Because like we have winters here and they're pretty cold, and it's like, how does it live? Like the water freezes, something all these other changes.
That's interesting. I'm hoping that like you sharing that story, because it's such a unique thing that I hope like other people, because like if you think about the Black Flash, that's like that's an East Coast thing. Is there other people that have seen something like this like at around? Like is this maybe not isolated to Provincetown? have other people had this kind of experience and just have chalked it up to they're like, that was weird. We just saw this, man in all black or man with black flesh.
Could be just
like
somebody messing with you.
Yeah,
or
like this
something
super
it's
tall
just some
guy
outside hunting,
running naked in the woods, but really maybe there's something else going on. So, Jojo, thank you so much for calling in with that story and sharing it.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I heard you guys had one call. I figured give another story out.
Beauty.
So why not?
Awesome. I love to hear it, man. Thank you so much.
You have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. Wow. Listen, there's nothing I love better than creepy encounters that leave an impression, a lasting, lifelong impression on someone where they're just like, what happened? I'm curious. I think about it all the time. I want to know more. I love that stuff. This is a cool update. Brandon says, yo, I asked my brother about the ghost he used to see in our childhood home, and I showed him the picture of the old school Canadian judge outfit, and he damn near shit his shorts. He was mind blown and confirmed it was indeed a plane crash that took the life of the original owner. Now, if I remember that call correctly, we had theorized and kind of came up with an assumption that maybe the ghost was that of a judge, and that's why they had lingered in the house. I don't even remember if that might have been during one of the summer sessions, so that might be coming up for people on season 9, or I can't remember if that was season 8. Hard to remember. But that's cool. So is that confirmed kind of like that's kind of what he was seeing? Was this the like judge's robes? That would be a really cool connection we made, Brandon. Love an update on that. Lines are open 1-833-703-0424. I saw someone was on hold and they called, and I tried to be quick. I knew we were at the tail end of the conversation, but you hung up, didn't you? Unbelievable. Listen, there's a couple people from tonight that I want to call in. Brooke, Brian, calling you out. I want to hear this story of you having a very bad night by yourself in a remote cabin. I want to hear it. You need to call in 1-833-703-0424. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Agent Anderson from Santa Rosa, California.
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Not much. How you doing?
Just kicking Cosmic Channels back up for the spooky season, getting back after it, having some fun. What's new in your neighborhood?
Not a whole lot. We've just been doing. Thursday nights have been rough. I've been meaning to call back in, but it's did like a kitchen remodel, and then it's just like every week it's something else that's kind of getting in the way. So I finally had a chance.
Say no more.
To call
I
back
understand.
in.
I understand. I just did a deck rebuild. Oh my God, what a nightmare! It took me all summer.
So I actually have a UFO related thing to talk about. But first, before I did that, you guys were talking about doing like a D&D reboot, and you're talking about characters. I think maybe during an after hours or something.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned some like WWF or WWE related stuff, but you guys left the best character out of it. Somebody needs to do a Paul Bearer cleric.
Oh! Yeah. Rising from the I cast spirit. That's good. That's good.
I don't know. For some reason, I thought that would be absolutely hilarious. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it would be funny. Do the face. I'd have to shave my face though.
Yeah.
Listen, the beard hair is all I got. That's all I got left. It's my makeup.
Put some makeup on.
Yeah, it would be funny. Yeah, we're humming and hawing about doing that. There's some, we're in the process of doing some gear upgrades, so we're kind of talking about like kicking something like that off. It's just been a real whirlwind of a year for us this year, so it's been really hard to maintain any kind of semblance of normal through all our life changes this year. So it's we keep joking that next week it's slowing down now. I think it's gonna get back to normal. And then I saw a meme that's like, being an adult is saying, I can't wait till things slow down next week every week until you die. So that might be where I'm at. But what do you got for us tonight?
Well, today I wanted to talk about the Rockefeller UFO briefing document. Have you heard of this one?
It sounds familiar, but I don't. The name sounds familiar, but just might be Rockefeller. What's it about?
So Rockefeller, obviously, you're familiar with the Rockefeller family.
Oh yeah.
But this was prepared in the 90s, and it's kind of like a book with a bunch of UFO cases in it. And the idea was it's Lawrence Rockefeller, by the way, is the guy who's behind this. The idea was to make a bunch of copies and distribute them to influential people, presidents, senators, and stuff like that all around the world to try to get some disclosure activity going. So it was funded by Lawrence Rockefeller, and it was written by Don Berliner, Marie Galbraith, and Antonio Hunes, and it was presented by QFONs, FUFOR, and MUFON in December of 1995. Even though, to my knowledge, this was never published as like an actual book, it is available online as a PDF if anybody wants to look it up. Just Google it. The actual title is what was that?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up here. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Unidentified Flying Objects Briefing Document, the best available evidence by Don Berliner. So just Google something like that. It'll come up right away.
It's on Goodreads. You can look it up on Goodreads. That's where I have it pulled up right now.
Yeah, and it's got like an introduction. It's got a bunch of cases that, you've probably done most of these on your show. It's got summaries of those cases, and then it has a couple of appendixes. But my favorite part in this whole document is towards the end. There's a section of quotes from famous people or important people in government. And some of these quotes are pretty crazy. So, for example, there's one from General Douglas MacArthur. He fought in World War I, and he eventually made his way up to be a general and the chief of staff of the Army. And in the United States military, chief of staff that's pretty much as high as you can get in the command structure. So this guy had access to all the information. So can I hit you with a quote?
Yeah, hit me with a quote.
All right, here it goes. Because of the developments of science, all the countries on Earth will have to unite to survive and make a common front against attack by people from other planets. The politics of the future will be cosmic or interplanetary, and that's from 1955. And why would a general say something like that in 1955? It's a little weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange thing because, listen, I'm not saying that. A lot of times when you hear some of these generals talk, they're pretty grounded. You know what I mean? So to hear that from someone so high ranking is like, what do you know that we don't?
Yeah, they're kind of beating around the bush, but they're kind of not,
Yeah, they're like, we could be in trouble in the future very soon.
Yeah.
Well, and then it goes to you hear about us recovering crafts around this time and stuff, and it's like, are we concerned with beings coming back for these crafts, or the recovered, aliens? If we're thinking Roswell or something, maybe it's one of those things where these things were just in transit for so long that we're when they come here, we're like, ooh, we probably have a good based on our calculations, it's going to take them 40 years to get here or whatever, right? If they're on their way, and we could be in trouble if they're coming. Maybe these crafts sent out a signal. It's weird. It's weird. It's a weird thing for a general to be especially in the United States, to be we need to all come together to face a common front.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. There are pages and pages of these quotes, so I'm obviously don't have time to read all of them, but I have a couple here that I thought were interesting. Here's a short one by Harry S. Truman. When he was president, he said, "I can assure you that flying saucers, given that they exist, are not constructed by any power on Earth." That's kind of interesting. A short little quote there, but that's just kind of goes to show you that there might be more to this than they're letting on.
Well, I mean, even if you think about that's back in the day, but if you think about even Commander Fravors, accounts of seeing these things. And even if you go, there's that recent interview I saw with Trump where they're asking him about aliens. And he says, well, I've had people, high-ranking, pilots and stuff. And he goes on this tangent about Tom Cruise for a little bit. And he brings it back and he goes, these people are not people to bullshit. And they said they've seen these things. They're spherical. They move 4 or 5 times faster than our F-22s and can outmaneuver us. No one has this stuff, right? Like let's be realistic. If you're to believe, there's different people that may believe that during Operation Osavayakim, where Russia was taking scientists and we were taking scientists from Operation Paperclip, that they were taking flight scientists and airplane engineers, and they were advanced airplane. I'm just saying, we would have seen that stuff by now. Like, we would have seen Russia's by this. Like, maybe back then you could have thought that, but like now, I would say like America's pretty undisputed king of the skies. Like, no one.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, unless like someone's really like been like, you know what, we're only gonna pull this out if we really, really, really need it. But then why would they go and fly it, during military drills? You know what I mean? It seems like a weird thing to do.
They wouldn't test them over civilian populations either. That wouldn't make any sense.
No, you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to be like, we don't want anyone to think we even have this.
Yeah.
Or could be us.
Yeah, that's why I like historic cases like from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, because back then we were still just figuring out, jets and that kind of thing. So if you see something making right-angle turns going Mach 2, it definitely wasn't something that we built.
Yeah, or we had. Yeah, man, it's super interesting that to like the history of these and like the amount of high-ranking officials that have said stuff like this. I mean, we had the guy, the commander in Paul something in Canada too, and he was like a general high up in the military. And he was like, "There's Paul Hellyer." He's like, "They're aliens. They've been here." And then people are like, "Oh, he's just crazy now." And I'm like, "Is he though?" Because that's a weird thing to like to just come out and be like, if he was actually like sick and has dementia stuff, to be like, what we should do? Put this guy, give him a platform. It's just, it seems kind of out of unreasonable.
And people will say, well, if there's anything to it, you would have deathbed confessions, and he might not have been on his deathbed, but he was definitely towards the end of his lifespan.
Yeah, he doesn't care anymore.
That was essentially a deathbed confession, and nobody really took it seriously. And to be fair, his claims seem pretty outlandish, but what if there was something to it?
If there's even a grain of truth to some of that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that goes the same thing. You could say the same thing with Bob Lazar, right? Like, maybe he's not telling the truth about everything. But if there's some truth, and we know there is some truth to what he's saying, where does that stop? Right?
Yeah. Well, there definitely was some truth to Bob Lazar's story, and there definitely were some fabrications. So it's kind of an interesting story. That's a whole other can of worms. To me, that one kind of seems like a psyop, but, I mean, anything's possible. That's a weird one.
I think we talked about it before, and we were like, he's the perfect guy. He's brilliant. He's the crazy rocket guy, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe, because I think he didn't go to university like he said. But I personally believe, he just lied about going to university because he was so smart, but he couldn't get the jobs he wanted without having the credentials. So I think he just lied. And I think they knew that. I think whoever hired him and brought him to S4 at the time knew that he lied, and they're like, perfect. Because if he says anything, we're just going to out him as a full of shit. Right? Like, as a fraud. It's perfect backstory. Is then they come out and they're like, this guy's a fraud. He didn't even go to Boston. He didn't go to these universities like he said. There's no record of them there. Because that makes more sense to me than someone went in and deleted all the records and swapped out pictures to make sure he wasn't in there. you know, you would have some classmates
Yeah.
or something come forward and be like, no, he was like none of that. I just think he lied about that in order because he was smart and he's like, well, I'm not going to school and I should be doing these jobs because I know everything. And so he just lied.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one possibility for sure. It's a weird case. I don't know that I've completely made my mind up on it. There's, you know, I kind of go back and forth on that one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. I love the Lazar one and stuff. And so this, how'd you find this book? Oh, Whitley Strieber is he in? Yeah, Whitley Strieber's the editor.
Oh no, are you serious?
Yeah, it says on Goodreads, the UFO briefing document, the best available evidence. It's Don Berliner and Whitley Strieber, editor.
Huh. Okay, I don't see on my copy. I don't see Whitley Strieber's name on it.
It
That's
says,
weird.
oh no, you know what it is? He's credited as editor, but on the bottom it says with an introduction by Whitley Strieber.
Oh, I see.
So he
okay.
In the one I'm looking at, it says right at the top, Whitley Strieber's hidden agendas. So he must have he was slapping his name on it, you know, and that probably helped move the needle a little bit at the time.
Yeah, it's possible.
But it's interesting. I mean, you think about some of these these oligarchs that have had a real interest in this topic, right? Like Rockefeller and then Bigelow, right? And there's something of interest when these people with these just mass amounts of money use some of that, and you know, sometimes quite a bit, to research and research these topics. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I think in this case, I suspect that Lawrence Rockefeller had access to information that the average person doesn't, and he wrote this to try to convince the government to release that information so that you could have a public discourse on it. That's kind of my suspicion, but who knows for sure? I mean, unfortunately, I think he passed away in 2004, so we can never ask him, but it's kind of a strange little document.
Yeah, it is.
You want another quote?
Yeah.
I got a quote from Canada.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, this one's from Wilbert Smith, who was the head of Project Magnet, the first Canadian government UFO investigation in the 50s. And in a top secret memorandum, he said, "The matter is the most highly classified subject in the United States government, rating higher even than the H-bomb. Flying saucers exist. Their modus operandi is unknown, but a concentrated effort is being made by a small group headed by Dr. Vannevar Bush. The entire matter is considered by the United States authorities to be of tremendous significance." And that kind of really caught my attention because Vannevar Bush was involved with the CIA, and this quote opens up like a whole other can of worms. This is pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think I only vaguely remember looking into Project Magnet. It's just anytime you say Canadian government and investigations, I'm like, listen, our government, not a lot of money to put a lot of science behind these things. It was probably a lot of guys watching the skies.
Yeah, but you would think, it talks about the United States here, and you'd think that the United States would want to work closely with Canada, because if we didn't, then that would be like a huge hole in our defense to the
Russia,
north.
yeah.
So you would think that our militaries would work pretty closely together because it would benefit both countries to do so.
Oh, yeah. So we would probably have some sort of joint task force or something working on these things. You know, realistically, It was probably Project Magnet, a Canadian government project run completely by Americans. That's more than likely.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah, completely, shopped out to all of the Americans. We're like, yeah, it's Canadian though, right? They're like, yeah, we'll keep the Canadian thing on it. Hey man, thank you so much for the call, and plug your show. Where can people find it?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I got my show is All Things Strange, and you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. Any podcatcher should be able to find it.
And how do you what's the best way to support your show for people who find it, listen to it, love it, which is going to happen?
Yeah, just find just listen and subscribe. And if you like it, we got a Patreon with extra episodes. If you want to support it that way, then I won't complain.
Beauty. All right, Agent Anderson, take care of yourself.
All right, peace out.
Bye. Lines are open. If there's someone on the line still, I saw they were. I'll take the call, but I got to end this one tonight. Oh, there they are. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Daniel Levitt, calling from California.
Hey, man, how's it going tonight?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, not bad. What do you got for us tonight?
So it's up to you. I saw a white Tic Tac on Mount Wilson, and I saw a lady in white in another canyon in California.
God damn. All right, let's go to the. Let me look at the chat here. Chat. Tic Tac or white lady? That's what I'm curious about here. All right, let's go Tic Tac.
Okay, so Tic Tac, I am on the top of Mount Wilson, which is a mountain on the top of California. And when you drive by and you look up at the towers, they look like Star Wars. So I was driving, looking up at the towers, and then all of a sudden, about 300 feet above the towers, a white Tic Tac goes from horizon to horizon in about a quarter second with no light trail behind it. It was not a meteor, it was not a satellite, it was not an asteroid. That's no idea what I saw, but it was unmistakably a white LED Tic Tac going through the sky faster than the speed of sound. No sound barrier break.
Very strange. No noise, no nothing, no sound barrier break.
None.
And how fast would you say?
I would say it went from horizon to horizon in about a half or quarter of a second.
And it's weird because like if it was a meteor or something that would shoot, like, you know, maybe people see meteors shooting super fast. There'd be a trail. Yeah. There'd be, you know, burning up in the atmosphere.
Exactly. But this thing was a perfect Tic Tac shaped white LED light that was just glowing and going as fast as you've ever seen anything go.
How long did you see it approximately?
Quarter to half a second.
So this thing was just absolutely moving.
Yep, and it went in the same line that I was driving in, and went just horizon to horizon, completely gone.
So like it came from behind you, and then like
it came from behind me. I was looking up at the towers as I was driving, and then all of a sudden I saw it fly past and just disappear on the horizon.
Wow. I'm just trying to think if there's
and
anything that
shortly
that could
after that, I saw the U.S. military declassified that F-16 footage.
Oh, of the Go Fast video?
Of them chasing the Tic Tac.
Oh, the Tic Tac? I thought the F-16 was the Go Fast. I think they're both the same
Or maybe
thing,
it was
though.
an F-14, but it was something the U.S. Navy released about them chasing a Tic Tac shaped object.
And that's off the coast of California where they shot that stuff. I'm pretty sure.
It was, and it was right around the same time.
That's really interesting. It makes me think, ooh, kind of give me little shivers. I wonder if there was, you know, a UFO flap that we were unaware of at the time, that was just starting to heat up maybe, and you were fortunate enough to see one of these things, you know, just rocket through the sky.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but it definitely piqued my interest and kind of expanded my mind to the possibility of things being there that we don't understand.
How often are you looking up at the sky now?
Pretty often, but I mean, no more than usual.
Yeah. You know, listen, we got some time. Let's hear this lady in white story too.
Okay, so I was driving in a canyon road in California at about 4 in the morning, and I had driven the entire road by myself and hadn't seen a single car, which is kind of not common for this road because people like to stop on the sides and look at things. And I came around this one turn that we call a wildlife turn because there used to be a wildlife way station there.
Yeah.
And inside one of the turns, there is a cave that has like a satanic ritual thing built inside of it. And
like that's a known thing. Like that's people are like, yeah,
yeah, the locals there know about it. And so I go past this turn that has that, and in the opposite lane there was a girl in a long white dress with long black hair, straight, just spinning in circles in the road. And so I flew past, and I was going pretty quick. I went down a couple turns, turned around, just to make sure that there was no cars or something down the road. Maybe she was like broke down or something, but no, nothing on the road. So I turned around and went back to the turn, and she was completely gone. And I drove the rest of that night and didn't see any cars, any people, nothing.
So she was across the road from the cave where that cave is located?
She was, yes, exactly.
And just spinning?
Just probably 100 feet up the road.
Do you see any facial expression or anything? Like, did you get a glimpse of her face? Or just the...
I did a little bit, and it just looked like a normal girl kind of looking down at the ground, wistfully spinning in the middle of the lane.
And when you say that, like arms out, like, but like no emotion on her face?
Yeah, like, you know that traditional ballerina spin, but not with the arms up, just where like arms down at the side, spinning in circles, kind of looking like she was flowing with the wind.
Whoa, that is creepy.
Yeah, that was a weird one. So I'm not sure if I saw somebody that was dressed up as one or I saw something weird, you know? Never know.
I mean, when I hear stories like that and you tell me there's like this known like satanic ritual cave there, my brain always goes to like, did someone want you to get out of the car there?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And I've heard all the stories of women in white, so it's a pretty scary concept.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, like let's just say like lady in white, or if it's not someone's dressed up as it, like why were they doing it? Were they there to like try to get you to that cave? Right?
It could be.
Right, to try to see.
You never know.
Right? Because it's like, I mean, you got to think like that, like a woman on the side of the road at night, you're good. Like a lot of times you're going to draw someone to stop. You are. And,
absolutely.
And to check on you. And it's like, oh man, terrifying.
Terrifying. Yeah, there couldn't have been more than 45 seconds to a minute when I turned around and went back up, and I didn't see anybody. Looked over the edge, didn't see anybody.
You got out of your? Did you get out of your car?
I did, yeah. But
Ooh.
After going down the road 5 turns, turning around, coming back up,
Daniel.
got up, looked over the edge, didn't see anything.
Brave man, Daniel. You're a braver man than me. Maybe I would have done a turnaround, like the double U-turn. I'm not getting out of my car. Maybe I'll roll down the window to hear if
I understand that. I drive up there a lot, and people get broke down. So if someone's there, I'm gonna try and help. You know.
Oh yeah, I hear you, but you're getting out. You're invested, brother. You were investigating. You were looking over the edge. I guess if it's,
like that happens,
I guess it's one of those things you're
used to,
and you're just trying to like reason what you saw. You're like, okay, they must have gone here. Then there's nowhere else for them to go. Where did they go?
Exactly.
Did you call out?
What do you mean call out?
Hey, hello? Any hello? Hey?
Oh, no, I didn't. I just got out, looked around. Oof. Okay, no one's here. Got out, got back in, and left.
Terrifying. It's terrifying. What do you think sticks with you more when you're just out? Do you think the Tic Tac or seeing the white lady?
I think the Tic Tac, because the white lady can be explained by somebody just messing with people.
Yeah.
Whereas the Tic Tac, I don't understand what I saw, and if it's our own government, if it's extraterrestrial, who knows? But it's a very interesting thing when you see something that cannot be explained.
Yeah, that's wild, man. 2 wild stories. What, Daniel? Can I ask how you found the show?
My friend Derek Cottle told me to call in and tell you guys these stories.
Oh, right on.
Tell me his.
Right on. Beauty. A couple beauties. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing those stories.
Yeah, of course, man. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Whew. Dude, I don't like the lady in white stories. They freak me out. I always feel like they're luring people. I saw someone else on the line. Oh, there they are. Let's see. What's going on here? Now we're heating up. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey.
Brooke Byram.
Oh, there he is. Hey, can you turn the live stream off in the background?
What's that?
Okay, I think I heard the live stream in the background. If you don't mind hitting pause on that.
I'm outside now.
Oh, beauty. All right. So you were saying that you had, an experience in the woods.
Yes, there was a few.
What's I'm intrigued. I want to hear about it.
All right. So I was a hunting guide. It was right is up the Bull River,
Okay.
Fernie, BC,
Yeah.
and if a person like it's super remote.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, I've been in that area, and it's like there's not like you can get out into the, you know, into nowhere land pretty quick out there in that country.
Yeah, like the second you, yeah. So anyway, I'll cut to the chase. I was maybe 20 years old, cutting trails, and I got dropped off. It was like, yeah, we'll cut this trail, and then because I got dropped off with enough food to get to the cabin. There's a cabin back there.
And so how long of a, like, you're getting dropped off with food, how long is this expected to take?
Oh, you're gonna be back there for a day.
Okay.
Like they'll drop you off in the morning. Like spend the day cutting trail. Spend the night in the cabin.
And are these cabins like trapper cabins, like just kind of built in the deep woods there?
Pretty much. They're like super, yeah,
Basic.
super remote. It's basically they drop them off with a chopper, and like it's like a green shed basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So they drop them off. I'm sorry. I'm making the story take longer than it needs to.
No, it's all good. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so that was our job. They drop us off with a chainsaw, gas, lunch, whatever. And that was pretty much it. Like, you were on your own. Like, it's pretty much, like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So how was it?
Like, as far as
staying in this kind of thing in the middle, like, how was that for you? Staying, just isolated like that in the deep woods.
It didn't bother me that much until this one time. And like, I was cutting trail. I was by myself. Like, it was no big deal. I was like busy, like chainsaw in your hand, cutting trail. Like middle of nowhere. And then I started hearing like wood knocks and like just weird whistles. Just weird whistles.
Just like a one,
and
like
then,
singular loud.
Like there's like three of them. It's like three whistles.
Ooh, that's.
And then I didn't really think much of it. And then it was probably, I cut trail till it's probably noon. And then I sat down to have lunch. And I put my back towards the trail. And then a tree just, it was pretty much a javelin. That's the best how I can explain it. Just a javelin.
Just tree just got ejected out of the forest.
Yeah, like just a javelin towards me.
And like from behind you?
From behind me, yeah, because I was sitting down to have lunch, and yeah, like straight from my back, just a tree. Like trees fall, but not like that.
Like it was
a javelin.
And it just shot. Did it land beside you, kind of shooting the woods off to your side? Like how close was it to hitting you?
It's probably like 5 feet beside me.
Oh wow! So like how startled were you?
Yeah, that scared the hell out of me.
So when you're standing there after that, were you like looking around? Did you see anything, hear anything immediately after that?
No, it was silent after that.
Oh, that is so creepy. Did you get any weird vibe? Did you get a weird vibe, like the hair on your arm standing up, like bad juju out there? What were you feeling?
Yeah, after that it was just super creepy. Like, yeah, it was funny. Like I still have to cut the trail because, like everyone's. I mean, the trail still needs to get cut.
Yeah.
But it was just super creepy, and that wasn't even the worst part. As far as, because that was like right off the bat, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I still like pushed further, and then I still kept cutting trail, and then rocks started getting thrown at me. And I'm like, well, there's like nobody out here. There's nobody out here.
Yeah, and it's not like British Columbia is known for having like bush people, like homeless people living like in the deep woods. It's not really a thing, especially in this kind of area. For people who aren't listening, like the winters get cold. There's a lot of snowpack. So it's like this would not be a viable location for someone to be living just like
yeah, like
roughing it.
No, like I know for a fact, like nobody's out here. Like all the trees are down from the spring. I'm busy cutting them, and I'm getting like rocks thrown at me and trees. And then it started. It started like that, like with rocks thrown at me, and then it slowed off.
And like
then I started hearing wood knocks.
Like how? So when these rocks, like how big are these rocks?
Maybe grapefruit size.
Oh, so quite big. And are they striking you at all? Or are they just landing around you?
They're just landing around me, yeah.
Whoa.
And then there's like a cabin that it's kind of hard to find. If you haven't guided there for a while, it's kind of hard to find. But then I found the cabin, and that was my job to like spend the night there and then cut the next
trail,
like that, whatever mile of trail out. And then that's when shit got fucking scary. Because I got to the cabin. It wasn't quite dark, but I did my, camping thing. Made dinner and whatever, and then it got dark. And then things started landing on the roof of the cabin. It's basically a tin shed.
So you're here, like everything. That's loud. Like that'd be shocking.
Yeah, like everything just started landing. Like rocks started landing on the shed. Not the shed, but like the cabin.
Yeah.
And I was like, who? Like, there's nobody up here. I know there's nobody up here.
When do you go out in like this? Are you armed, or you just have a chainsaw and basically your tools?
I didn't bring a gun because I had a chainsaw.
Whew. So you're stressing.
I didn't bring a gun because I was like, everything's gonna be scared away with it.
Oh yeah,
chainsaw.
Yeah, like honestly, I would have thought the exact same thing. You're like, oh, it makes so much noise. Nothing's coming. Everything's running away.
Exactly, like, and the entire night, just thing, like rocks landing on the roof. Like there was hoots and like the Sierra sounds.
Yeah.
There's Sierra sounds all around that place.
And did this lasted all night?
It would go on for probably an hour, and then they'd lay off, and then it would pick up again. And then, yeah, like I never slept all night. Like it got to the point where I started the chainsaw. I started inside the cabin, and then it just filled up with smoke, and then I started outside the cabin just to block out the noise.
Yeah.
Just to where I started the chainsaw and stuck it outside, just where it was running.
So when you got up in the morning, like other than like rocks and stuff everywhere, like anything else happen, or was that the end?
That was the end.
That's so strange, man. What do you think it is, being a hunting guide? What do you think caused that experience?
I think they just got too deep in their territory.
Well, that's kind of what, like, you know, looking at the chat and stuff, it's like, you know, maybe you were walking into, you know, Bigfoot country there, and they started to knock and whistle to try to warn you. And then when you got in too close, then it's like, all right, now they're throwing rocks and stuff. And then when you started to leave, they started to go back to the knocks. But when you're camping in the wood, they're basically letting you know you're not welcome. Like, leave. That's what it feels like when I hear your story.
I think that's exactly what it was like. Because there's, like, I've heard knocks before, but this time I pushed through them, and that was too far for them.
That is, I mean, listen, BC, we're in Bigfoot country. So like Pacific Northwest, all over these areas, you know, there's people that claim. I mean, you're like Cranbrook and Bull River. I mean, that's not too far from where Todd Standing says that he knows where a family of Bigfoot exists. And he's been trying to sue the government to get protection for them. So it's like you're right in that area. So that's dude, a terrifying account. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that.
Yeah, it's just south of there. Sorry I couldn't put it into better words, but
it's all good, man. You put it into great words. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Brooke.
Yeah, no worries, man.
All right, man. Take care of yourself. Stay out of those woods.
Yeah, I don't go into the woods anymore after that.
All right, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, thank you.
Bye. Whew. Listen, if you have an experience where you're in the woods and you're getting rocks and trees chucked at you, time to go. Time to go. You're going to have to start revving that chainsaw Evil Dead style. I saw someone else was online. They may have dropped. That's going to be it for tonight's episode of Cosmic Channels. They dropped. Thank you, everyone, to call in, everyone who's been supporting Cosmic Channels. We'll be back next week, same time. So tell all your friends, and don't forget to mark your calendars, because next Thursday, podcast version comes out of Season 9, Episode 1. It'll be a different vibe, spookier vibe than the live streams. So thank you all who've supported the show, donated into the show. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week. The Cosmic Lines are now closed.